Next up, we're going to look at the File Manager application, which is a digital asset management or a DAM application that comes with Webiny. So log into your Webiny instance, then under the main menu, go to File Manager. Given that we did some previous work given some of the previous tutorials and specifically the one where we imported some blocks, we should already have some files in there. If not, you can just add any sample files to the File Manager, just so we have something to work with. File Manager is an application which loads in multiple parts of the system. If you need to upload your user avatar, if you need to add a page to a page builder, if you need to attach a file in the headless CMS, every time you are dealing with any sort of an asset, the File Manager overlay will load. And depending on what type of file the field takes, you might sometimes see only images, sometimes you might see only videos, and the content might change based on that. But the File Manager, what it allows us to do is, first of all, categorize our content into folders and subfolders. So the same principle applies to the mechanics we saw in both the headless CMS and the page builder. You can also nest folders to each other and so on, essentially giving you a really nice structure to work and organize your content. Also, the File Manager supports the enterprise feature where you can control which users or which teams can use specific assets, view assets, delete, manage, or upload into specific folders, and so on. Also, what you have on this view is the ability to switch between a table view and a grid view. For assets, the grid view makes a bit more sense. The File Manager combines the power of the AWS S3, AWS OpenSearch, and AWS DynamoDB to create a file storage system that has infinitive scalability. So there's no limit to the number of files you can store in the File Manager. The only limit is that an individual file can be up to 5 terabytes in size, which is plenty. File Manager supports multi-byte upload, and you can also activate S3 accelerated upload, so you get much faster upload speeds if needed. And the File Manager behind the scene works with the Webiny plugin system, so you can extend the file meta information, you can attach a certain custom functions on top of lifecycle events. Say specifically, I upload a file, I want to do an antivirus check, I can fire that off the moment the file is uploaded. Say I upload a video, I want to run a transcoding job. So using Webiny's lifecycle event, that's something that's quite easy to achieve. If you now open an individual file, so if you click the cog, it's going to give us a bigger preview of that file, its type, size, when it was uploaded. The file has a name. You will find that file under that name. So if we copy the URL to the file and look into that, first of all, we have a CloudFront domain. As with the page builder pages and as with the admin dashboard, you can easily change this domain name to point to a custom domain with SSL certificates and everything. So that's like 2 lines of code inside the infrastructure configuration file of Webiny. And then here you have the file ID, and after the file ID, you have the file name. This is the structure. But because oftentimes customers migrate from different platforms into Webiny, they want to keep the URLs to assets unchanged for various different purposes. Maybe those assets are used in some other systems as well. They're indexed in Google Images and so on. You can add an alias path to a file. So test demo SVG. So we can add this one. We can add another test SVG. Right, so let's try one thing. Let's save this. Let's now open a URL. So if you open this URL, which is the original file URL, we'll get the file. But if we move this, so if you now take the URL of the file, just use the domain name, delete everything else, and do another test SVG, you will see our image. What this does is allows you to migrate all of the assets to Webiny. And by the way, the File Manager has full GraphQL coverage, so you can programmatically upload files and everything. And as you upload those files, you can write here the current, that is the URL where the asset resides in the old system, and Webiny will pick it up and deliver that same file without doing kind of copies of it or whatnot from that previous URL, basically. This is really handy again. Also, if you want to deliver the same file from multiple URLs and things like that, that's something you can achieve. The other thing is here, if we switch this from public to private and save this file, now if we try that URL again, it works. But if you go to an incognito window, try doing that same thing there, we won't be able to access it. What private files do is restrict the usage of this file so that only authenticated users with a Webiny token can access it. So I can open this URL in the same window because my token is accessible and the system is able to authenticate me. But if I share the direct URL, even if that file sits on a CDN and things like that, the user won't be able to access it. This is because we interpret the request at the edge through a lambda at edge function and do all of the authorization checks there. So if it doesn't pass, we don't allow access to it. This is really useful when you need to share sensitive information, ports, financials, medicals, or stuff like that. If you set this to private, nobody except the users inside Webiny will be able to access these files. Now, on top of that, we can add some tags here. Let's save that. So now we have the option to filter by tag. If you click by marketing, if you click visuals, and then you can, if you have more than one tag selected, you can define the search. Should it be match any, match all, and so on. In addition to that, you can filter by file type. Hey, I want to only show documents, or I want to show images and things like that. Now, this bar here is fully customizable and pluginable. The reason is that when you open a file, you can easily add additional meta information here. You can add as many fields as you want. For example, let's say you are sourcing images from Shutterstock. You might want to add the date when the license for that file expires, so you can easily then know which files you need to renew the license for. You can add additional dropdowns that categorize those files, and then you can add all of those custom meta elements here as filters to help you utilize those new meta attributes that you inserted. Additionally, when you're dealing with a large group of files, what you can do is select multiple. You can delete, you can move them to a folder, but you can also edit. And edit is done with operations. So I can say, hey, I want to overwrite all of the existing values and set the files to public. And on top of that, on the tags, I want to append to existing values another tag, call it custom. Right. The thing is that I can't add more operations because I only have 2 fields accessible. But if you extend the meta information of a file and add those custom fields that I just mentioned, you will be able to add more operations which apply on top of those custom fields. So if you submit this, it's going to now process. And now let's have a look. So here we've got the added tag and the access control has been reset to public. And if we added this one, there you go. So you see that there's quite a lot of power in the file manager. Also, there's a delivery API. So if you append like question mark with, I don't know, equals 100, we would on fly resize that image to 100 pixels and so on. A lot of this stuff is documented on our docs portal. So if you go to the docs portal, file manager, and then you have the extensions, you have the ability to how to programmatically upload the file, how to customize actions, how to customize the whole preview drawer. So this is the tutorial where I was talking about the filters. So I explore you to look at that because it's really handy, and there's quite a lot of useful information here. But for this one, I just wanted to provide you with an overview of the file manager.